Hello, everybody. This is Storm, Commissioner of the SADL, and we're bringing another video here today. This is, as you can probably see on the screen, this is going to be a standings breakdown, basically an examination of the state of the league as it currently is. We just wrapped up week 5, so we're on to week 6. Those matches will be coming out pretty shortly, within the next few days. So we're just going to do this right now since we're at the halfway point of the league, or the season, should I say, 50% of the way done. And playoffs is becoming more relevant. Talks of the end of the season are becoming more relevant. So we're just going to just look at that, talk about that a little bit. As it currently sits, there are no teams that are guaranteed playoffs or are eliminated from playoffs. That'll change next week. Once we start to see some, probably change next week, should I say? Once we start to see some teams hitting maybe potentially 6-0, 0-6, those teams will. There's a potential those teams will be start to either be eliminated or have guaranteed playoffs, essentially. But basically, we're just going to look at this, look at the standings, talk about it, and go over some things. You can see right here, I added in strength of schedule. Very simple. Like I was trying to figure out a way to make the decimals work, but I couldn't. But anyways, this is just the combined record of every each team's opponents, right? Their wins, their losses. So obviously, at the very top, we have yours truly and the Dewey Duots. We are both the only undefeated teams currently remaining, both 5-0. We also do not play each other this season, so there's very possible that we can have two undefeated teams. Obviously, only time will tell. We still have a lot of time left. Pretty high differentials, plus 16, plus 14. Decent strength of schedule. As you can see, actually, though, Dewey Duots is actually tied for one of the worst strength of schedules, or I guess worst, easiest, maybe the correct word, easiest strength of schedules we have. 7-18. That's the total record of all of his opponents, or all of their opponents, should I say? And it's one of the only. These two are the only strength of schedules that are under 10 wins, combined wins from their opponents. I believe they are the only two people who have played both winless teams. So it's kind of crazy. But I mean, at the end of the day, easier schedule, of course, means easier wins, and we'll see how when the schedule toughens up, how they adapt and see how that turns out. We have two 4-1 teams currently in our third and fourth spot, the New York Munchlax and Safari Rhyhorns. Both of them 4-1, both of them plus 12 differential. These teams have not played each other, so there is no head-to-head tiebreaker. So, of course, like I said, I've been factoring in strength of schedule. So we have the strength of schedule tiebreaker, and of course, the New York Munchlax having a 4-win strength of schedule difference, I guess you could call it. Their opponents have 11 combined wins as opposed to the Safari Rhyhorns 7. So these are rounding up like the top 4 teams. These teams I expect to see in playoffs almost 100% at this point. I do play the Safari Rhyhorns this week, so that's actually a match that will have a pretty big impact on the season. But I do expect these 4 teams to be playoff teams more than likely. But we'll see. Obviously, there's still a lot of time left and things can change. Then we have our little spot of 3-2 teams. There are 4 teams that are currently 3-2. None of them share the same differential, so that does not affect them. Uh, there's no tiebreaker needed for that. The standout here is probably the Washington Wishmakers having one of the hardest schedules so far, having a 14-11 strength of schedule. One of actually the hardest of actually, yeah, not the second highest. I guess it'd be the third highest, but one of the highest or hardest strength of schedule for any team with a winning record currently. So obviously having a very tough season. Obviously, out of these teams, I don't know like I said, don't know what the rest of the season will hold. Um, I do expect some of these teams to make playoffs, but like I said, there's still a lot of time left in the season. A lot of things that can happen. Uh, Down here, in our what is this, our ninth spot, right, or eighth? Hold on, this throws me off. This numbering right here, right? Okay, ninth. Okay, that's right. Just making sure. Ninth spot, we have the Diamond Defenders. They are our only 2-3 team, which is very interesting. They have a -8 differential. This is large. This is largely because this weird differential right here between these two teams. This is because of the forfeit. The New Jersey Jinx and Diamond Defenders supposed to play each other the other week. There was the forfeited match because of some issues with the former coach of the New Jersey Jinx, Phil, um, with his scheduling, and as a result, uh, the match was forfeited, given to the Diamond Defenders, and he was given. There was a 0 differential handed out. I wasn't going to do a 6-0. I just decided to do a 0 differential. I felt it was fair because giving somebody a +6 differential for a match they didn't even play just seemed like, whatever. And if we had, as it turns out, we did have to replace um, Phil. I think I talked about that in my weekly review video. But as I said, we did have to replace Phil, and as a result, I didn't want the other person to come in with a -6 differential added to their differential for a match they didn't even play. Um, but obviously, so the -8 differential with a 2-3 record, pretty high or hard strength of schedule, should I say? It's positive. Their combined strength of schedule has more wins than losses, but this is a team that's obviously in a decent position to potentially make playoffs. New Jersey, we have 3-1-4 teams: New Jersey Jinx, King City Kingers, and the Chicago Toros, who got their first win this week, and some pretty steep differentials. The -4, obviously, that's because of the forfeited game not counting negatively towards them. A pretty, as you can see right here, though, a very high strength of schedule, very hard strength of schedule so far this season, second highest. So, like I said, all these teams, no teams are eliminated from playoffs. These teams all have a chance. Obviously, it's a tough road, and I wish them the best of luck. But I don't envy them. I mean, yeah, I don't envy them at all. Maybe you see down here with the King City Kingers and Chicago Tourists having a more similar differential to the Diamond Defenders because of obviously their them playing more games and them actually playing games and having games that count against their differential. Interesting right here that the King City Kingers actually have the hardest schedule so far. And that is because they have played both undefeated teams. The King City Cruisers have played both I and the Dewey Duwats. So they've had a hard season, no doubt. And it's unfortunate, obviously, having to, the luck of the draw has, put you at that disadvantage. But, I guess that's just the way it works. Like 3-1-4 teams. All of these teams, like I said, capable of making playoffs. Then we have our 2 winless teams, the Cerulean Guardians, Turin Trevenants, both with pretty high or pretty highly negative differentials. This is going to be tough for them to dig out of this spot. It's not necessarily the wins. Like winning 5 straight is hard, but you have to think like a -21 differential. You basically have to win like all 5 of your games by 4-0 or better to get back positive. That's how tough that is. Turn Trevenant's one of the hardest schedules though. They currently sit at a 16-9 strength of schedule, which is third highest. I think I had said, yeah, third highest. So pretty tough for them. Unfortunately, being stuck in this position. This is one of a team that's coached by one of our co-commissioners, and yeah, it's just it happens. So some people, the beginning of my season was a little easier. My last couple of games are more difficult. I have an upcoming game that's very difficult. That's obviously going to have a positive impact on my strength of schedule. I'd have a positive impact on the Safari Rhyhorn strength of schedule. So um, we'll see how this changes. Obviously, I probably will do weekly updates on this, just to come back and see, especially because, like I said, next week playoffs are going to probably the first bit of playoff elimination and playoff clinching, I guess you could say, is going to happen. We'll probably see our first couple of teams clinch the playoffs, our first couple of teams be eliminated, very likely. But I'll probably start making weekly reviews just to break down what's everything looking like, who has to do what to win, each team's path to the playoffs, because that will be very important in the next coming week. So I'll probably make a video next week going over it and just talking about who is clinched, who hasn't clinched, what's going on, basically. So yeah, that's it for the standings. I do have an extra part, as you can probably tell by the title of the video. that I do want to go over, and that is going over. I finally have compiled the kill leaders for the SADL so far through 5 weeks. Um, I had this written down on a paper, but I had not put it into like a spreadsheet or anything or a document. So I finally decided to do that so I can have it up and running and just have an easy running tally. So here I have listed all 14 teams and every single Pokemon on their team that has gotten a kill and how many kills they have gotten. Um, so yeah, you see some teams have really long lists, like they've had a lot of Pokemon get kills. I believe the King City Kingdras and the Minnesota Glow Kings, I believe they're tied, right? I think they both have, yeah, the same amount of Pokemon who have gotten kills with 11. It's very impressive. And you have some teams that don't have a lot of kills at all. Terran Trevenants, obviously, that's reflected very heavily in their differential. But, other teams like the Diamond Defenders don't have a lot of Pokemon with a lot of kills. You have some teams that are very spread out. So, yeah. This is basically just it. I do have the league leaders over here. Um, these are basically the top six, um, I believe, right? Let me scroll back over because I feel like something is off. Am I missing something? Just gonna double check just in case. Something feels off about the list I'm looking at because I feel like there was something that was missing. Oops, that pull that back over there. No, no, okay, we're fine. So these are league leaders in kills. Uh, Number one, we have Latios of the Dewey Duats pulling off 10 kills so far this season. Started off the season strong. I think it had 5 kills in week one. Obviously, it's mellowed out a little bit, but it's had a few games where it's been able to pick up like 2 kills, I think, and other stuff like that. I don't know if it's missed a game this season. That's one of the things. Kind of is like some Pokemon haven't been brought every week, so they're not going to have the same amount of kills. They haven't played every week per se. But then we have two Pokemon that are tied for second with 8 kills. That's Tinglu, the New York Munchlax, and Enamorous Incarnate of the Safari Rhyhorns with 8. Most of Enamorous's kills have actually came in the last week, and I think maybe week 3. It had, had a 6-0 sweep. Straight up just killed all 6 Pokemon. And then also picked up 2 kills this week, I believe. And that's all of its kills. Maybe I'm missing. I'm trying to think. Maybe it got a kill in another week. Either way, I know a lot of its kills are very recent. Primarina of the Baltimore Bullet Punches, of course. Yours truly has a few pretty big weeks. Had 3 this week, and I believe 2 in another week. So that's been the majority of its kills. Bastiodon from the House of Mouse, also with 7 kills. I think it's had a few big weeks really where it's just popped off and got a bunch of kills. And then Latias of the New York Munchlax, 2 New York Munchlax members on this team or on this list, should I say? Um, so that team's obviously going crazy. I mean, you saw that where they were ranked, very very good team. And Latias having, I think it had 6 or 5 kills one week, so most of his kills have came from one week, but nonetheless, uh, some big performances from a lot of these Pokemon. I mean, huge multi kill games that have contributed. They have been putting in work for their teams. So I do have this list up. Coaches, let me know if you want me to post this list in the server. I can definitely do that, so that way you guys can see it, and maybe even just in case, fact check me a little bit, just in case. Obviously, I had to go through at this point 34 because technically there are 6 games played one week, so 34 games, 14 teams trying to track every kill. Some kills aren't very obvious because some kills happen to like things like hazards. There's a few kills that don't even haven't been awarded to a Pokemon because of recoil. But obviously things like hazards and statuses have claimed kills, so those are obviously harder to kind of calculate and keep up with nonetheless. But I've done the best job I can trying to keep track of everybody's kills, which Pokemon have what kills, et cetera, et cetera. So that's it. This is the kill leaders for every team as well as the kill leaders for the league. I'll keep this updated and probably I might show them off every week just for people outside of the league who are following along in case y'all want to see. but yeah, I mean, that's basically a run through of the league so far. We're halfway through. Like I said, wrapped up week 5. Currently on week 6. Games will be played on Sunday. Um, and I'll make a video later next week, um, reviewing that. I will say, just coming up, not next week. So I guess it would be week 7 or week 8, right? If this is technically week 6, week 7 would be next week. So week 8, I will be traveling. I'll be out of town. I do want to try, obviously, because I'll be out for a whole week. I do want to try and make content. If not, uh, if I'm unable to, I just find it very hard to do. I do apologize. I may either try to catch up on it when I come back, or try to like wrap it up all into like one mega video. I have to figure that out. Hopefully, I can just get it done while I'm on the run. I'll be bringing my laptop with me, so hopefully I can just handle that. Basically, so just letting y'all know ahead of time. I'll probably talk about it next week. Uh, just because it's something that's big and it's happening, and it's something I don't say I've been trying to figure it out how I'm going to do it, but obviously I don't know until I get there and I see how my schedule is. I should have some downtime though. Obviously, I have to play my matches. I'm going to try to record those, but anyways, so that'll be it. Like I said, look out next week. I'll have another video going over the standings and talking about more about playoffs and which teams are looking good for playoffs, which teams are not going to make playoffs. If that's the case, more than likely, like I said, next week we will probably have at least one team out of the playoffs and probably one team making the playoffs, but we'll see how the week plays out. But until then, I will see y'all probably Sunday or Monday when I release my week 6 match versus a Safari Rhyhorn. So until then, everybody be safe and be good people.